Welcome back to DajibanLife. I'm here at work in the parking lot. When I was driving, I noticed that there was a lot of moaning and some metal grinding noises coming from the wheels, I think. So I think that means the wheel bearings need to be replaced. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now before it gets worse, because it sounded like it was getting progressively worse over time. Before I do that though, I'll show you guys my setup right now. I have my curtain up, blackout curtain up, and I'm using this section to hold all my tools. Luckily I have everything I need in order to do the wheel bearings. I actually also have a set of wheel bearings in that box over there that I didn't put in my old van, even though I said I was going to, but I got lazy and I didn't do it, so kind of worked out. And I have grease and everything that I need. And in the back half of the van, as you can see, I'm still carrying around the driver's seat that I took out, and then the rubber mat or whatever on the floor, and then just a sleeping pad with some blankets and my sleeping bag and my towel, and that's pretty much it. So really bare bones is how I'm going about things right now, until I fix everything on this van. But yeah, it's around 5 o'clock, so I'm running out of daylight fast. So enough talking. I'm just gonna start working on this, swapping out the wheel bearings. Alright, so changing the wheel bearings is pretty easy. What you want to do is undo this cotter pin here. I don't have a new one, so I'm just going to reuse this one later. But you should probably, if you're doing this, you should probably use a new cotter pin. But you just take off the lock thingy there, and this nut should be hand tight. So it should be really easy to get this off. Oh, that's pretty tight on there. It should just be hand tight. Maybe that's why it was causing noises. Oh wow, okay, let me use some real muscle to get this off. Alright, it wasn't that much muscle. It was actually just on there maybe 10 or 15 foot-pounds. Just a little bit more than hand tight, which it should be. Yeah, it feels like the grease is pretty old. Then you take out this lock washer, and then your wheel bearing should come right out. Now I'm going to do both, the inside and outside, inner and outer wheel bearings. So this is really hard to do with one hand. There you go. But there's the outer wheel bearing. It looks okay. It's pretty smooth. It doesn't look like there's too much damage, but there's definitely not a lot of grease in here. So that might have been the reason for all the noise, the grinding noise. But I might as well replace these because these probably have about 80,000 miles on them. And they usually last about 75,000 to 150,000 miles, if you're lucky, you know what I mean? But 100,000 miles is usually a good place to replace them. So it looks like there's some silicone on this also. Maybe got in there in the bearing itself, because they put a silicone, which is a good idea to do, but it looks like they used a lot from factory, or maybe they replaced the wheel bearings before. But now I gotta replace the inner ones, and I have to take off the rotor for that. So let me put the camera down. Alright, so I got the rotor off. And basically you just have to pull out this locking ring thing here, and then this inner bearing should come right out. So I'm going to replace those two, clean up the spindle, re-grease it, and slide it back on. Alright, so it's off. Here it is. Right, pretty easy. Just use a screwdriver and a socket, and basically use the socket as leverage, and took a hammer and just pounded it out. Snapped right off. Got a face full of grease. Sprayed in my face. Here's the inner wheel bearing. This one doesn't look too bad either. It looks like There might be a little bit of scoring, just a little bit, but not that bad. So these wheel bearings are actually probably okay to use, but I'm gonna err on the side of caution and replace them anyway, and maybe I'll just keep these just in case I need them, so I don't have to buy another set. The inner retaining ring thing, I know the new ones probably come with a set of those. Let's see. Here are the outers, so I don't know if you can see it through the plastic, but it comes with this metal ring on the outside that you can actually replace the ring in here. That's a little bit of a pain, I believe, to replace this ring. So it doesn't seem scored. I'm feeling it. It feels very smooth. It's just really missing grease. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean this out as much as I can, because I don't have brake cleaner with me. But I'll just wipe it out and get out as much of the gunk as I can. Re-grease, put in new grease, put this wheel bearing, just the bearing in, not the sleeve, and then just reinstall it. So I'll show you the results once I'm done with that. Alright, so I got it all greased up and new wheel bearing in there. I guess I was an idiot and I didn't buy new caps or whatever, this thing, the clip. So I'm gonna have to reuse this one. I sort of bent it a little bit, so I'll try to pound that back into shape, but it really shouldn't matter that much. You know, the grease might get hot and leak out of there, but it looks like this boot is kind of messed up anyway. You know, it's kind of flat on this one side for some reason. So I'm probably gonna have to replace these anyway at some point for new ones. But not for today, since I don't have any. And I don't really think it'll cause too many problems. Alright, so I got the spindle roughly cleaned off. You know, it's probably good enough. Greased it. It's probably a lot of grease, more grease than I need on both inside there and on there. But you know what I say, more grease is better than no grease. Alright, so we got the rotor back on. Seems like it's turning really good. Now all I need to do is put the lock washer back on, or the lock nut thingy, whatever this thing's called, and then cotter pin it. I think I'm going to give it one turn with the socket wrench, just with my hand, just to tighten it up a little bit tighter than hand tight, and that should be fine. Because if you tighten this thing down too much, it's something that's different from Japanese cars and imports. Maybe other American cars too, I actually wouldn't know. This is the first car I've seen like this, is where this nut can't be too tight, because if it is, it'll ruin your wheel bearings. And then put the cover back on, and put the brakes back on, and the wheel back on, and this side's pretty much done. So let me go ahead, do all of that, and then update you guys at the end. But that's pretty much how you change out your wheel bearings. It's pretty easy. It doesn't take that long. And you know, if you have any kind of moaning noise or like a grinding noise coming from your wheels, then it's definitely your wheel bearings. And for me, it looked like this just wasn't enough grease in there, had dried up, or just leaked out, because that boot in the back, which I'll have to replace at some point, was bad. But this should last for, I don't know, maybe a few months at least, easily. So yeah. Alright, so yeah, I was doing this side and I took off the inner, or the outer wheel bearing, and you can see there, look at that, yeah, it's just missing a section. It's just gone. So that's probably why it was making those grinding noises, because it was missing some bearings there, the rollers, and this thing is pretty loose. So yeah, this is garbage. So if I drove in around on this a little longer, could have been pretty catastrophic. Like, it could have seized this wheel, and this could have, you know, welded itself onto the spindle. I've had that happen before to me. So this could have just completely seized on there, and then I would have to replace the entire spindle and everything. It would have been a headache. So good thing I caught that. Hopefully the inner bearing is better, in better condition. It doesn't seem like it. It's pretty loose in there. So I'll go ahead and take that apart and clean this up, and yeah. Alright, so that's all buttoned back up for the most part. I just need to put some finishing touches. Wow, it's a lot of grease. I might have overdid it on the grease here, but you know. the slipperier it is, the better. You know what I mean? Alright, that's all done, buttoned up. It's 6:30 now, so that means it took about an hour and a half, but probably about half that time was me just, you know, babbling about lube and how good lube is, and, you know, how it's good to lube things up and make sure that it's slippery and but yeah, that should be fixed now. So that was where the sound was coming from, was from this wheel. I'm thinking there, you know, it might be good to check the bearings in the rear as well, but I never had a problem with those on my other van either, and that has 240,000 miles. So I'm gonna call it good. I mean, I don't hear anything. There is something that I've noticed when I'm driving off the line, when I start or when I like accelerate from a stop, I feel like a slipping happening. So it could either be the torque converter, right? That's usually a culprit, or it could be the rear end, the differential. So I'm wondering if maybe the differential's slipping, which doesn't make sense. It shouldn't. You know, maybe the teeth are messed up or something, or it could be possible that the gear oil is not of the right viscosity. I still don't think it should slip. It should just really make noise more than anything. But now that that's fixed, I'll go ahead and drive it around and you know, diagnose some more based on pretty much what I hear. But anyway, that's it. That's gonna be it for this video. Just changing out my wheel bearings in the middle of the parking lot. It's weird today. There's no cops in the parking lot. Usually the cops hide back here because it's away from the street and no one can see them while they eat their donuts, and, you know, generally just waste taxpayer money. But no cops today, you know, bothering me, because usually they'll look at me like I'm, you know, some kind of criminal, even though I work here. But anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. I'm thinking of actually painting the van once I get new doors and stuff. Actually, this door doesn't look that bad, so maybe I'll just down here, it looks like it's bent. I can maybe fix that. So maybe I just need one of these doors. But anyway, I'm thinking of painting the van. What do you guys think about the color white? Like, paint the van white? Oh, that'd be so cool, man. But let me know if you have any opinions about what color I should paint it. I'm actually serious about painting it white. And so, yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching.